Hello everyone, I'm Weston's Weatherwise, and in today's video, we break down some significant severe weather threats that include damaging winds, large hail, and even tornadoes. Perhaps even some strong tornadoes could be possible. Now, today's video is going to be pretty fast, as I do have a soccer game I have to get to after this video. So just sit tight for probably about 8 to 12 minutes and I will break down everything your area should be concerned about. And starting off with today's outlook, we do actually have 3 separate slight risks. One out here in Ohio and Kentucky, another one over here in portions of Nebraska and Iowa. Parts of Missouri are included in that too. And our main one is back here in Kansas and Oklahoma, where we are actually anticipating a few tornadoes to be possible, and we do actually have a 5% corridor that was recently added by the SPC in portions of southern Kansas and northern Oklahoma. It does look like we are going to get a line of storms to push through this area, bringing embedded rotation, and any kinks in a line that we could get could pose that risk of tornadoes. So large tornado risk today back here in Kansas and Oklahoma, 2% tornado risk back here in portions of Nebraska and Iowa, and a very tiny and slim 2% back here in Iowa, Wisconsin, and Minnesota. Damaging winds look to be our dominant threat today for the most part. As you can tell, 3 separate 15% areas. But if we go ahead and move here, we do actually have 2 separate 15% areas. There's going to be for initial supercells whenever they first fire. And keep in mind the threat back here in Oklahoma is going to be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 a.m. So overnight, make sure you have 3 ways to receive alerts, whether that is a phone, a friend, a weather radio. Make sure you have multiple ways to receive alerts. Moving on to tomorrow, latest model guidance is showing some pretty crazy things, and I do think an enhanced risk will be added somewhere in here. We do currently have a slight risk, and it was noted that a 10% hatch tornado risk was considered earlier today by the Storm Prediction Center. But due to key uncertainties, we did not add that. But I honestly think our marginal risk is going to be pushed out across this area. These are just my thoughts. Our slight risk across this area. And then I think we are going to get a enhanced risk across this area. This enhanced actually might get pushed further north. And depending, we could see a enhanced risk across this area. I definitely feel it's all going to depend on how fast tonight's storms move out of the area, and how intense and how quickly these storms fire tomorrow. As of now, we do have a 5% tornado risk. I do think we are going to see a 10% tornado risk introduced across that area. So just keep an eye on it. But currently, very large 2% and 5% tornado risk in play for tomorrow. Damaging winds and large hail are also going to be possible. Keep that in mind. Moving on to the day 3 outlook, we do have a pretty large area we are watching for severe weather, and I would not rule this out getting pushed up across this area. So definitely a very large area, and a slight risk will probably be added somewhere in here eventually, but just going to keep an eye on that. Moving on to the HRRR today, back here in Arizona, we do currently have storms ongoing, and those are going to die out over the next few hours in Arizona and New Mexico. And as those die out, our severe risk is going to drop. Moving it back up here into Wisconsin, Iowa, and Minnesota, storms are currently ongoing, and as these continue, we are going to continue to see the risk for a brief isolated tornado. And as the storms continue to die out, the tornado risk is going to die off. Shifting east towards Ohio, we also do have storms ongoing across a very large area. And actually, we do have some tornado warnings back here right now in Kentucky and Ohio, although I cannot go live as I am about to head off to my soccer game. But overall, severe threats should start to die down over the next few hours as these storms do lose daytime heating. Now shifting to where everyone has been watching for. Storms are going to fire here around 9, 10, 11 p.m. back here in Kansas. And we're really watching this area around 2 a.m. for storms to fire. You can see here they do fire. And as they continue to progress, they do form into this messy cluster. Maybe a bit of a line trying to form. And it's just kind of one of those days that we really have to watch, as we may see storms further to the south further to the north. So keep in mind, this is just a computer run, and this is not how this is going to pan out. And we actually did just get another hour in, as you can tell. Storms kind of start to shift to the south a teeny bit. So just make sure you have a tornado action plan in place in places like Tulsa, Bartlesville, and Stillwater. But anywhere in this area, I should say, anywhere across here needs to have a tornado action plan in place. So just make sure, if you're under the risk of severe weather, make sure to have a tornado action plan in place and just be staying weather aware. Here's a look at the significant tornado parameter values. As these storms are pushing through, it does actually look like we are going to get a pretty large area that we could see a tornado or two. And honestly, if we could get portions of the storm to break off on the southern end, I would not rule out a strong tornado tonight. Here's the severe threat. This is in the slight risk back here in the plains. This afternoon, evening, into the overnight hours, I should have put. But I have our tornado risk on the rise to a level 5. Wind gusts are going to be at a 7. Those are going to be pretty high. Our hail risk initially is going to be very high at a 6. And our flooding risk I actually have at a 7 too. Excessive rainfall is going to be a very big problem across these areas. And this is moving on to tomorrow. And this is why I do think our severe risk could be put all the way west. We're going to be having storms in Arkansas that go up. We're going to be seeing storms back here in our general thunderstorm risk that are going to be going up. Storms here near Tulsa, potentially to the west, go up. So we're watching that. Keep in mind, this is tomorrow night. And it's just looking like a pretty big day. Here's a sounding back here in Arkansas. Marginal tornado. Okay, hodograph. So we just need to be keeping a very close eye on tomorrow. And here's the RRFSA model for tomorrow. And it is going to paint a pretty big picture of what could occur. And this is kind of horrifying to look at. We do have multiple supercells across a large area. I do think these are actually put a bit too far to the east on firing. I do think actually the HRRR may even paint this too far to the east. I do think our main area that we have to be watching for these storms to go up is across that area, maybe even more across this area. So if you were in that orange highlight, although you may not be in a risk right now, if something changes overnight, you could definitely be upgraded to an enhanced risk all the way from a general thunderstorm risk. So just make sure you are staying prepared, as not only is today going to be big, tomorrow is too. And here's just pushing it forward even more. Just those supercells are going to continue and eventually evolve into a cluster/line and pose a damaging wind risk along with a tornado risk still. Here, before we end off this video, we do actually have a couple areas that we are watching for development, one of which could actually head towards Florida, keep in mind. Gabrielle is now a Category 4 hurricane too, so we're watching that. But we do have right here, this area is a 50% chance in the next 7 days. And this definitely, it could take a track like this. It could take a track like this. It could even hook out, although this one is unlikely. This one is less likely, and this one is the most likely. So we're watching that closely. And then this area is up to 80, and we are starting to get a lot closer with our area of interest. This one could still take a track like this, take a track like this, take a track like this, like that. Could go through here, but I feel like less likely, less likely, less likely, more likely. So definitely watching this, as this could definitely make a run for the United States, both of these systems. Here's a look here as we move forward. As you can tell, this system does look like it is going to develop and clip the United States before getting pulled out to sea. Our system back here struggles to develop. Then it does and stays east of Bermuda. But we also have the system that develops right over the Lesser Antilles. And this continues into the Gulf and becomes a major hurricane in the Gulf. So we definitely need to be watching that closely. Although that is not guaranteed to happen, it is just a possibility. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed, please make sure to drop a like and subscribe down below. And I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.